just want to state that this full review is quite long, so bear with me. I think everything I talk about in this case is how I feel, and everything relates to each other. And I think knowing my background a little bit in computers, just slightly, will help you in deciding on whether you want to buy the Magic Keyboard, and spend the freaking $2,100 on the new iPad and the keyboard case. Stay tuned. Welcome to sleepingdog.video. My name is John, and today I would like to show off my 2020 iPad Pro. Yay! And my new Magic Keyboard. Yay! And my new Apple Pencil. Yay! And I'm going to show off my second generation iPad Pro. Yay! And I'm going to show off my new Magic Mouse. Yay! And I'm going to show off my Apple Pencil first generation. Yay! And I'm going to show off a couple other products, which is my Surface Mouse by Microsoft. Yay! And I have my portfolio keyboard, and I'm going to show off and describe how it fits in and what I like and dislike about it and the Magic Keyboard. And I'm going to show off this was my second generation iPad, but this is my Logitech keyboard case, and you can see that. I'm going to talk about that on how I like that compared to the Magic keyboard case and the differences. And then I'm going to show you another product, which is my Logitech, I don't know if they call it a smart keyboard, but my Logitech Bluetooth keyboard. And this is thin and light, and you can see, and can you believe it has a freaking battery in it that lasts a long time. So yeah, I'm going to show that. And then I'm going to show, this is my, I don't know, gazillion milliamp power bank from Rave Power. I'm going to show that off as well. Yay! And then, so that's going to be my upcoming reviews of the 2020 iPad Pro. Okay, now I'm back. So I'm showing the product view, and this is the new 2020 iPad Pro. It is, I'm just so excited, it's just awesome. It's so, I had to tell you my form of reference because I think it's important to point out the form of reference for each person's video instead of just describing it, so you know better whether you would like to buy it or not buy it, and whether it's worth it, which is the bottom line, and whether you'll be happy with it. You'll never know completely because you can't reach through the screen and try it for yourself. So this has to be just basically my opinion, but the best that anyone can do, any podcaster can do. So what my form of reference is that I'm back for sleepingdog.video, and I wanted to describe first, before I describe my new 2020 iPad Pro, the 12.9 inch. I have several, as you can see, products. This is my pencil for my second generation iPad Pro. This is the, Magic Trackpad that I just recently got. And this is a very thin, very nice, rechargeable Bluetooth Logitech keyboard that I'm going to show. And then I'm going to show you, this is my Microsoft, they call it the Surface Mouse. So you go like that to turn it on, and it has a little bit of a trackpad at the top here. And so I'll describe that because I want, it'll relate. So just bear with me, it'll relate to everything even though it's for a Windows machine. It works great on the iPad. So once you pair it. And then this is my second generation iPad Pro with the Logitech keyboard case. And I'll show you just briefly what the case looks like. And you go like that to lock it in. Uses the what Apple calls the pogo pins to power it. It doesn't need Bluetooth or charging. It charges off the iPad. As you know, starting with generation 1 of the iPad Pro, they incorporated pogo pins. And I think it's a pretty nice case. It does make things about twice as heavy. And then here you go. Here's my folio. Is that what they call it? Folio case from Apple. And you can see it's very well used. I use it mainly as a case. And I'll describe why I like and dislike it in a moment. So, first, I think before I get into the review and looking at my... Oh, and also, I forgot, I want to show off, this is my battery to power it, because the iPad Pro, so far, I'm not getting the best battery life. That could be me, that could be adjusting things on it, which I won't get into right now, because I end up doing that and then get off subject, and then I don't like that. So anyway, this is my power bank. It's by a company called Rave, R-A-V, and it's pretty nice. It even has a plug in here, which I don't know I ever got to power anything, but it uses a standard for some desk lamps and so forth, and some low-end MacBooks. It's supposed to be able to charge those, but I don't know if I got it to work. But I still love it. So I'll set this aside. Now, I brought this. This is my sister, and my niece used it before that. My sister after that. And this is the 2011 iPad Pro. And I love it. I redid all the internals. It was cracked. If you can see this plastic bar that goes over the hinge, that was cracked on it because my niece had dropped it. And she didn't, that I know of, shatter the screen. She just dinged the edge, as you might be able to see right there. She dinged the edge, and then she cracked the this part. But I'll get to the point, and you'll see how all this relates. So I was always a Windows person in the past, way back to the DOS days. And this small story relates to everything. So I went back to the DOS days in the 1980s. I had a TRS-80 Model 1 Level 2 computer, and that was by Radio Shack at 16K in the keyboard, etc., etc. I could talk about that on another podcast. if people would like. I would, and then I had the Atari 800. The Atari 1200 was a new one that just came out. There was some problem that I don't remember that I took it back and got the Atari 800. And then after that, I got my first PC, which was a PC clone, and from a company in Palo Alto, California, in the United States, in Silicon Valley. And actually, that cost was $16K of memory, floppy drives, a 16 color monitor cost $1,049. So you know how powerful these are now and how the prices haven't really changed over time. If you hear any tech reviews that show on it, you'll know that they've gone up a little bit, but actually the power's gone up triple, quadruple, 6, 10, 100 times, but the price hasn't really gone up very much. So anyway, back to this. So I keep getting off the train of thought, and I want to learn to do videos where I don't get off the train of thought. So the trackpad, when I use the trackpad on this and I'm pointing right at the trackpad, I know I'm pointing, that is just like glass. It's so smooth, and the way this aluminum housing is so built, yes, it's heavy and everything, but that trackpad, oh man, is so smooth compared to any other trackpad or mouse trackpad combination on the market. It is just smooth, 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 just buttery smooth. And that alone, if nothing else, is what I love about the MacBook. This is my first, without helping other family members upgrading their Mac desktops and MacBooks and helping them and having to figure out, since I'm familiar with the Windows side from the DOS days all the way through Windows 2000, Windows XP, Windows 98, Windows 95. The only operating systems on the Windows platform that I didn't use is not very much of Windows 98 SE and what was it? I'll remember in a second. But the others like Windows ME and Windows Vista, that's it. And those were about the only three that I haven't used. I have my MCSE, which now I'm a tennis coach. But so I've used server software up to 2003 and Windows 2000 desktop and server. And then Windows XP went with the 2003 server software. So I've used that. And now I'm Windows 98, Windows, was it 2008? And then, but it's the one, I can't think right now, but it's the one right before Windows 10, so Windows 8, and then Windows 8.1. And then I upgraded to Windows 10, and Windows 7. I loved Windows 7 like most users of Windows out there. That was probably the best Windows ever. Just the user interface was so much better. So I could go on and on with that. So this review, though, is to show that just how incredible, and the keys and the backlighting, and how incredible this is. I'll just very shortly say I upgraded this one to the to 2 SSDs, one in the slot because I got an adapter on the internet through Amazon. It was through a Chinese company, and I don't remember the name of it, but it was an adapter metal housing that went in the same slot, as the DVD super drive. So I put a 1 terabyte. It was a SanDisk, which is now part of Western Digital. It was the blue version of the Western Digital SanDisk SSD, one terabyte. And I just put it in because it was only about $89 on sale, or $99, and it was well worth it. And I put a 512 terabyte, not a Western Digital. In a minute I'll remember what kind that was. I'll remember, so you guys. But anyway, I put a 512 SSD as the main drive. There's a program, you could look it up, or I could try to find it, and that allows you to bridge, so you can use up to Catalina on a 2011 iPad Pro. So if you wanted to know that, and you can, so up to Catalina, and it works great, but it only works, remember, that Bridge app that you install, and some of you will know what the name of it is, will only work with Intel graphics. This happened to have Intel graphics, even though we all probably think Intel graphics are a piece of crap, work okay, but are basically at best, you know, and NVIDIA graphics are much better. But NVIDIA graphics will not work with this Bridge app. So it was great that this thing had the lesser of the graphics cards, the Intel graphics, and it upgraded just fine. I had to follow some instructions I got off the internet, but it upgraded just fine, works just great, upgrades the fixes over the internet from Apple, and its own fixes to its software, works great. You would think you're running full Catalina, the full version of Catalina, and not doing this 3-step upgrade. I think you had to upgrade to Lion first, and then you had to install this Bridge app, and then install Lion, or install Lion and then the Bridge app, and then Catalina on top of it. So something like that, but you get the idea. And it runs great. It boots pretty darn quick. You know, you expect it to take maybe 2 to 10 seconds to boot, and that's nothing at all. My sister had said that this one, she was getting a new Mac, the one before the 2019 Mac. So was it the 2018 Mac or something is the one she got. And I said, well, if you're not using it, would you mind giving it to me? I would love to doodle around with it and work with the OS and see how it works, since I'm a Windows person and I always wanted to get a Mac. I just thought a Mac was too expensive. So a short story, I got a Dell Mini, I think they called it, which is like the Mac Mini. But instead of getting the Mac Mini because it was too expensive, I didn't want to spend that much money, and I needed a computer just for a few 3D printing things. And so for about $350, I got a Mac Mini using the AMD processor. It was okay machine, but I would have preferred a Mac Mini. So you understand the point I'm trying to make. And so I wanted to doodle around with this. Now, okay, so get back to point. I love the trackpad. So I'm going to say that's why I brought this out. Next, I want to say here's my 2020 iPad Pro 12.9 inch. Here's the, that's the pencil in here. You can put it on here to charge. You can put it over here in the corner. That won't charge. It won't be as strong, so it won't fall off easier. But it won't charge and run down the battery of your iPad. So that's one thing to think about. But it's nice that you can just keep it like this and have a place to store it and not lose it. When I'm at a tennis conference, I take notes with the Notes app, and I use the pencil to write my notes. I don't type on the keyboard. I'm not a very good touch typist. I can use 2 fingers pretty fast, but I'm not a touch typist. So I learned to write everything like this is a piece of paper. And over the years, Apple has made the pen interface so smooth, so great. I don't know that I noticed the difference between the new pen and the old pen in performance. I think they both work now if you have the latest iOS update, which is 13.4.1. These both work incredibly smoothly and accurately. And the palm, I'm putting down my hand on the palm of the screen. The palm rejection, which it's called, and people understand that term. What that means, that normally the palm would go down, and basically it goes back to your finger. So your finger goes down on the screen, and it goes around. And Apple had to make, for the touchscreen, it to sense basically your whole finger here, into your finger. That's a pretty big spot. And they had to make sure that when you pressed on something, it activated the right thing on the doodly thing on the screen, or word on the screen, or a place you wanted to go on the internet on the screen, or a picture on the screen. With this pretty fat, big finger, whether you have skinny fingers or fat fingers, that's still pretty fat. This little tip on the pencil is tons and tons smaller than this big fat finger. So they had to do that. And the term, so the point of that is when you put your palm on the screen, it would start, let's say in a drawing app, it would start drawing. If you were in a writing app, like the Notes app now, and I used one called Pen Ultimate, an Evernote app, which I really like too, but I got into using the Notes app. I could comment later in another video maybe which I like better. It would start entering lines and stuff on the screen and screw up what you're trying to write with the pencil. So you had to, in earlier OS updates, you had to hold your palm off the paper, or which is the screen, right on the screen. Make sure the palm doesn't rest on the screen, because that would screw things up. But in the latest updates, they've done such a good job with palm rejection. You can basically put your palm down and start writing on the screen just like you would on a piece of paper, and it glides over the screen just like a piece of paper. And you're doing cursive, you're doing manuscript writing, you're doing a drawing. You could use that in drawing apps. So they've really improved it over time. Did it take time and years for them to get to this point? Yes. And I don't know what the term is, but I've sucked it up. I've used the iPad from the iPad 1, then the iPad 3, then the iPad Air, and then the iPad Air 2, and then the iPad Pro Generation 2, or Generation 1, and then the Generation 2, and then this newest iPad. So I've just tried, looked at every app in the App Store to try to find the best apps for what I want to accomplish. which is photo design, video design, 3D design, writing apps so I could write in seminars. Those are the apps that I really tried to do, plus networking apps, plus file transfer apps are all the things that I like. Then I got into recently light bulb apps, so the smart light bulbs and everything. So that said, that works very smoothly. So I open it up by opening up the screen. It clicks into place. Let me turn this around. The whole part on this, from top to bottom, and I'll show you how it goes in the case. This over here is the camera. This is a 2-camera system, plus the LiDAR sensor, plus I think that it might have a flash in it. So it has the normal camera, which is wide angle. It has the super wide angle. It doesn't have any telephoto. This, all in here for the case, is magnets. Now, can you imagine magnets are, no matter what kind of magnets, they're going to be kind of heavy. So I think, without knowing Apple or talking to anyone at Apple, that's part of the weight. The other part of the weight is this hinge. The hinge down there is an aluminum hinge that's round, that goes all the way through. I don't know, it's probably hollow to hold any wires. It needs to run wires down there. But I believe that that's probably part of the weighting system. But this weighting system is awesome. In my opinion, it's awesome. It's just fabulous. I can set it, if that's a word, I can sit and put it on my lap, and that's what other people want to know, is how lappable is this. This is the 12.9. I can't speak to the 11-inch. The 11-inch may not be as lappable. Someone else will have to speak to that. The 12.9-inch, I can put it on my lap. I can set it at a comfortable distance. That does not fall over. If I push hard enough, if I, jump up all of a sudden, if one of our dogs comes in and knocks on it, sure, it's going to knock over. But I can take my hands off the keyboard. And I can type on it. I can press on the screen. I can type on it. I can press on the screen like this. I can type on the keyboard on my lap, and it wiggles a little bit, but it does not fall over. So that's an incredible thing. Now, when we have this, so that I love and would say is just a wonderful plus. So that's not even probably the best parts, and I love that. So it comes up here. There's you can feel a real click right there. And you don't hear anything, but you feel that solid click. And then what you do is, it's black right now, the screen. But watch as I tilt the screen. This is what other reviewers don't show you, which is what Apple builds into this case that makes it worth $350 freaking dollars. It automatically turns on. Is that freaking cool or what? That's a little thing, but is that freaking cool or what? It went back off quickly because I didn't swipe on it to wake it up. But it turns itself on. Let's see if I can get it to do that again. Let's see if I can get to do that. And then see, turns on. Now it'll twist all the way back to this level. It won't go any further back. Now it may not look like it on the screen, or from the camera, but this isn't that far back. Maybe we would like it to go further back, but we also don't want it to tip over. So if it went further back, it would probably tip over. I think Apple thought of that. And that's the wonderful thing. We don't want to be a drone in life, but we should kind of let Apple and try it for a while and see if Apple got it right. If Apple, we can nitpick, which we like to do in podcasts. We want to say, like up here, it doesn't have the extra row of function keys. The keyboard's a little bit close up here. Some people say, well, when they hit a 1 or a 0, they bump into the screen. I don't know about that. I think that's a bunch of nitpick. It's fun to watch those type videos, and I do, but Apple just hit it out of the park, brought it home, and is worth to me $350, even though it was freaking expensive. So, but how it's weighted and how it goes like that. Now watch this. I have it like that. See how, I probably won't be able to do it very quick, but look at this. Pop that off. Okay, now I'm using it like this. Okay, now I'm going to go into my, so you don't see what my code is. And go like that. Let's go into the, I have it upside down, but you get the gist. I'm going to put it in the Notes app. I can turn it around. Then in the Notes, I can just start. Let's see, let's put, I can't really write, but I'm going to write upside down. So if I write my name, and then you just pull this. Now if you do this on the Notes, if I can find where it is, oh here, up here, you, excuse me, you will find that if you go up here and see full screen, now all you do, instead of having to go and click on next page and everything, you just keep scrolling. So if I do this, I want to doodle and make someone's face. I want to, and then I'm writing, I have my hand down. It's not even making a mark, unless it did over here, but pretty much it's not making a mark on the screen. I'm going along, but you get the idea of how smooth that is. And then, watch this. Then I put it like that. I do the top first. Pop it in like that. Now it's back to that. Now I close it up. Now I can take it with me. And look how thin this is. How razor thin this case is. Even though it's heavy, this is razor thin case. Let me get out my, this is my case from my old. This is the folio case. This has the keys, and these are rubbery, not even lighting up, don't have any key travel, is okay at best. So they're rubbery, they're not very good, they're usable because I wanted a thin case, but they're not very, very good. So this case, and I don't know if I can show it off here, is basically within a millimeter maybe, without using my calibrator, which I don't have here, or caliper, they call it, is almost as thin. And this thing I want to show you, which is so amazing, that you probably can't see it because this is during the daytime, but these keys have backlit keys that light up. And in the OS, which doesn't work on other keyboards that have backlit keys, in the OS, Apple automatically adjusts the backlit key level. It has a slider when you go into the right section in the settings for iOS. It has a slider that is like the slider for the brightness of the screen. And that, and by the way, that's a picture, if you can see it. That's a picture I took with, oh, if I can turn it on again, with my Pixel 4 XL by Google camera phone. And anyway, back to the point. So then it has a slider just like the slider for the brightness of the screen. So, and you can slide up and down. You don't have the three, like this one case. Not only does it make this second generation twice as thick, and it's a plastic case with maybe an aluminum keyboard inside for the keys. And it's not bad, but it only has low, medium, and high for the keys. And when you first put it in, the difference between this case and the Magic Keyboard case, which is another thing I think you would like to know, is Apple adjusts the brightness so it isn't too bright, not using a lot of power, and not using a lot of power. But I think from what I've tried so far that it just leaves the backlight on all the time. So that may contribute to draining the power a little bit more. This one, again, I'll show you. This one turns on when you probably saw it, turns on initially when you take the iPad and you put it on the dock. So it first turns on the backlight, but after that it dims the backlight to off, and then you have to stumble around if you don't have good eyes in the even remotely dark or dim lit room like I do, and can't really see the keys. You got to press on a key and struggle with that before the backlight comes back on. Now this may, on the Magic Keyboard, this may take a little more battery power to leave the backlight on, but it makes it so much easier to use. I don't even notice in dimly lit, where I still have maybe light through the window, but I don't have enough light overhead, so it's still dimly lit to me inside. I can still read each of the keys. I don't know if they also made the white paint that they paint these keys with brighter. That helps. But I would like to say some people on reviews I've seen that, or I've watched, that they say, well, this you got to go into buried down in X screen of the settings to get at the backlight setting. Yes, in a, what is it, in a perfect world, is that the same? Not true. I would like an easier way to get at the backlight settings, but right now I'm going to try it and see how well Apple adjusts the backlight setting in the sensor. If I find that I need to adjust the backlight all the time, then I'm going to suggest that, and that's good for people to do that. If you're part of the public beta, or you can for people like that, report that to Apple. Go on, write your review on about an app. You know, things like that. Tell them, don't just tell them, this is my one pet peeve. I don't like people that just say, this is a piece of garbage, this is crap, and don't tell the developer and other people looking at the reviews why they think this is a piece of crap, so they can make a conscious decision on whether they want to download the program, or for the developer to come back, and if they're a good developer on an indie team, they usually will fix the problem. The bigger developers maybe not. They won't fix the problem. They'll go months, and your thoughts will go by the wayside, whatever the term is or the saying is. But that's your way of saying that it may be a piece of crap, and maybe initially you want to say it's a freaking piece of crap, but tell them why. Tell them how they can improve it. And then we will all benefit if you do that. That may take 10 minutes, 15 minutes to write your review, telling them why, or sending, if there's a link, and there usually is in the Apple App Store for iOS, to send a bug report to the developer. Tell them what's wrong. Tell them in the best of your ability, step by step if you even can, what doesn't work so they can fix it. And as I said, if they're good developers, they will fix it, and it'll become an incredibly great app, whatever that app is, for everyone else out here. And that would be appreciated. That's what I do, and that would also be appreciated. Now, down to, so swinging this in and out, so I just tilt. Did I swing it out already? Yes, I did. So down like that, and then you swing it out. I push on the side and the top, and I swing it out. Now on my lap, okay, so I want to go with the trackpad. This is probably one of the other things you want to know about. How good is the trackpad? So let's see if I can get you to look at that. Okay, if you can see the trackpad, it's hard for me to see. I'm using the front-facing camera so I can see what you see. And the trackpad, now the trackpad, and if I can hold it up, so this way, vertical-wise, is a little short. In the horizontal size, perfect. I know they probably did that because of the height of, if you think about the height of the iPad, when I close this case, they want it to fit right up to the edge of the, can I show it? Right up to the edge. So let me do this again. When this is pulled out, and then I go to close this thing, right up to the edge, they have it perfectly aligned with the iPad. And if they made the trackpad any deeper or longer in the vertical direction, it would not line up, and it would catch on things. It would be just a terrible design. So take that into account when you decide on whether this is too short of a trackpad. Getting used to it, just adjust the settings in iOS for the pointer, and there's two different places for it right now. I sent in my bug report, as I said earlier. You should send in your gripes, what you like and don't like. I explained that I think it's not, easy to have accessibility features of iOS settings and to have trackpad features in the regular general trackpad section, and have to go to both of those to adjust things. I think it's much easier if you just took the general trackpad area and lumped all the accessibility and trackpad pointing things that related to the pointing device in one area. That would be so much easier. But now you got to go to settings, accessibility, pointer, or mouse pointer, whatever it's called, and then to adjust some of the things, and then you have to go to settings, general, trackpad to adjust your other settings. So remember that if you want to set this up. Now, when you flick and you get it just right, This is not really too short. It works. I got used to it in a couple of seconds, and man, oh man, is it so buttery smooth. Let me say again, it's so freaking buttery smooth. It is like glass. I don't know other words to describe how just freaking incredible smooth. And it's not just your finger to the glass surface. It's how buttery smooth the cursor moves around the screen. I thought the first 1 or 2 generations of this new touch point device on the screen, if I can show it in a second. I'm just going to turn around here, go like this, and then I'm going to go back to my home screen and just show you for a second. See how this is like so buttery smooth. There's no lag. There's no jitter. There's no nothing. I'm even doing it upside down, which you would think would be much harder to perform. But this is so buttery smooth, one finger. And you can adjust the amount of times that you have to go like this and scroll. Remember this when you decide on whether for your iPad you want to get a cheaper case and don't want to spend the money. Remember, how does the trackpad going to work with that other case, and how well balanced is that other case, and how everything is just made just perfect. I just can't say any more than perfect. So that's my basic review. I want to go over a few more points, but that's, if you want to cut off, that's my basic review of the new iPad Pro 2020. For anybody that wants to continue to listen, I want to show you the difference between that and my Surface. Is it a Surface Pro mouse? Surface mouse by Microsoft. This is my mouse. This up here is, as I said at the beginning, is the trackpad. This right here is how you turn it on. Now let's see if I have it connected. You have to connect it first through Bluetooth. So that's the one point. That's not as easy. I mean, it's easy as any Bluetooth. It took me a couple tries to get it to work. Now I'm going to see if I can show you. I got to log in again. Okay, now I'm going to log in. Now I'm going to show you the trackpad. Let me see if I can. Let me turn this around and see if it's working. So hold on just a second. Or I'll put it on pause and come back to you. And then I'm showing off. So this is my Surface mouse. And I do apologize for going on and on. But I think everything was pretty much related to what I was talking about. And it brought up a lot of good points that just need to be said, because other reviewers, they may have shorter reviews. They may have these hip reviews. And I'm trying to do better on that point, on that scale. But I think they don't cover the things that I wanted to know about this case and iPad. I wanted to know how freaking awesome is it? Why is it so? Why do I think it's so freaking awesome? So I needed to give that background that took a little bit of time. And so, yes, I realize it's long. So for some of you, you might even think it's boring. But if you really want to know things about this and you're making this purchase, which the whole thing cost me $2,100 for this. So this is expensive. I can get most laptops, even Apple laptops, for that price or less. And even the high-end 2016 laptop is probably only like $2,400 or 21 to 24, something like that. You could go look it up on Apple's website. So that's a really nice computer that everyone likes, but you see how expensive this is. So you want to know if you should make that purchase. And I think my background in why I think it's buttery smooth, why I love it, and everything was important. So I know it's long, but and people are going to say it's very long, but that's my point, that I think it was important. Maybe I'll get to other reviews that I can make much shorter, and I'll do that. Maybe I'll decide in editing, I'll break up some of these things into separate reviews because these are other products that I wanted to show off. So with that said, I want to show the Arc mouse. And this Arc mouse is, okay, so you see the Arc mouse. Can you see the screen? This is my cursor right there. I want to point at it. And maybe I need to bring this back a little closer, or maybe set this to the side. Okay, now this is my mouse off to the side. Okay, so you see, let me see if I'm doing this right. Maybe I have to move these. I'm going to put these on the floor, because I already showed those off. I'm trying to get something. I don't really have a good surface in order to work on. But this, okay, so you see how this goes around the... Oh, I have it upside down. Duh, I have it upside down. Okay, so you see how it goes over here, and you see how it changes color, it changes shape. And then I can click on it, so you can... I think I can click on it. No, apparently it's not working. But those are bugs. But anyway, it should go down here when I do this. Maybe I had to go up here, I'm not sure. Let's see. Maybe, I don't know, maybe it's because I have the trackpad case and I'm trying to show off an external mouse, and so it's interfering and not working. Maybe that's the issue. This is a bug. See, again, this is a bug I would tell Apple. And I would say, Apple, when I'm using an external mouse at the same time as the Magic Mouse on the keyboard, certain things don't work right. And hopefully they will take that into consideration and actually fix them and make it even a better operating system. So anyway, what I wanted to show was, see how I can move this around, but let me get into something, just a web page. Okay, let me scroll down. Let me try two-finger scrolling. Now you see how I'm scrolling, and you see how, let me see if I can do this more. Okay, it's hard to do when you're trying to get out of the way so you can see it and have me do it at the same time. But the two-finger scrolling works like that, but you see how it's bumping along? It's not buttery smooth. It works, yes. I can make it in the OS. I can make it faster or slower, but it's just not buttery smooth. This part is pretty good, and I can use just about any Bluetooth, even a wired if you have a dongle, USB mouse with this, which is incredible that they built that in. But I just wanted to show how it's just not buttery smooth. That's why you have to take into account when you decide on a case with an integrated trackpad, or you want to use a separate trackpad mouse with it, you technically can. But is it going to be as buttery smooth? It's going to be cheaper, yes. But are you willing to live with that difference? Now watch this. When I do two-finger scrolling, you see how I'm just barely pushing on the trackpad. You see how buttery smooth this scrolling is. See how buttery smooth. I'm taking my finger off the trackpad. I'm letting it just glide over the surface. This is just incredible feel. You are just going to say, oh man, that just feels wonderful with your fingers. And this is part of what other reviewers that want to try to be hip, and I have no disrespect with those reviewers, but those people that just want some hip video, they pulled it out of the box and they're showing it off. These are the things that you want to know if that extra 150 or 200 bucks above another keyboard case is worth every penny. And these little things that Apple did in this keyboard case, I can't stop saying over and over and over again. I know you're getting tired of hearing me say over and over and over again just how incredible the smoothness and the butteriness, and I just hope you can see how smooth and just glass-like feel it is to move the scrolling, and how well it's integrated into a first or second generation of the software for the trackpad. It wasn't that it took 10 tries to get it right and I had to keep sending him bugs reports. They got it right the first one, maybe 2 tries. They got it so perfect. And I am to the point, I normally don't like to use a keyboard and mouse. I would like any other form of input, like my finger, my hand waving gestures, like some of the devices like my Pixel phone has, using my voice. I'd rather use that day in and day out than a keyboard and mouse. But I find when I'm sitting on the couch and I have it in my lap and I don't have to hold it with one hand for fear if I let go, it's going to tip the freaking over like that at any moment. And I can just use my fingers to butterily smooth. That's what I felt with what I was trying to get at with my 2011 MacBook Pro. When I felt that buttery smoothness, that glide, that everything, that just sold me on the MacBook. I don't get that with any of the Windows products I've tried. It's just, it works okay, there maybe some of them are even close, but that buttery smoothness. So that's really what I want to show out. And then this has integrated charging, so you can charge through USB-C. Let's see if I showed it. So you can charge through USB-C through that connector. Now I found, I don't know if I want to bring it out and bore you with going and looking for it, but I got a 3-in-1 3-in-1 cable. It has the Lightning, it has the USB micro, and it has the USB-C. Now with that cable, I found out all of a sudden it wouldn't charge through this part of the charging. Now I went out and I'm going to reach over and grab that, so bear with me. And bear with me, so this is my, can you see it? This is my battery pack, and this is my cable that came with the came with the iPad. So I'll show you one, how it plugs in, which is pretty simple. You plug it in. You plug it in sideways, if you can see this. Okay, and then if I plug it in then to the USB-C port, because it doesn't have a regular USB-B or A connector on it. So you plug it in. Now it should turn on, see, charging. And it's charging my battery. The lights come on to show the level. And now it's charging through my battery. Now, initially I got I was using ShapeR3D, which is my 3D design app. Let me turn down the brightness. The light through the window has come up. So let's go. Maybe I need to actually turn around. I'm going to try putting on pause for a second and turning around and see if it looks a little bit better. It's not bad. Video. And then I have to think my train of thought. Okay, so what I did was, this is by Rave, R-A-V or R-A-V-E, but Rave Power. And let's see, is it called the, anyway, I'll put it up to the screen and you can try to read it and see what the, if you can see the name of it. And this is, I don't know, it's like a 25,000 milliamp or something, but a big battery. It's under the limit that you can take on the airplane. It's right up there, but under the limit. So that's good to know, I think. And if we ever get back to flying on airplanes again, it may be a year or two before we really will fly on airplanes and not worry about this COVID-19. So that is how you plug it in. So what I wanted to show is, let me put you on pause one more second. And so this is my cable. You can see it's a, if I get it out here. So it has regular USB on this end, and it has 3 connectors on this end. And it, and I can't remember, I always forget the name of this company that makes them. There are so many companies making these type of cables. Now, you probably want to spend, even if you have to spend a couple dollars more, you want to get really good cables. I'm thinking of getting the 3-in-1, it's one cable by Belkin. I'm always a fan of Belkin products, and I don't say that because I'm getting money from them or sponsoring this podcast. I haven't learned how to do sponsoring yet, so but I just say that because I like them. So any company I mention on this particular podcast, disregard that I'm not getting any money by saying that. That's just what I like. So, and Belkin will do the Belkin one that has little adapters that go on top of this, which I think I'm going to order, is, and you can look on Amazon for it, is a fast charging one, and it does data as well as charging. That's the thing people, I don't think about, is will this do data transfer and charging, and will it do fast charging? Now, maybe your device doesn't need fast charging, but I think for an extra $2 or $3 for cables, it's worth it to get it just because it has to uphold to a higher standard of cable design in order to be, and if you can find one that's also certified, either MFI certified or Apple certified plus MSI certified, which the Belkin cable is. Now, these cables, I've looked at a lot of reviews on Amazon. I've looked at about every cable they offer, and I found that the cables, and in my own experience, that these cables being bent in all ways, sitting on your lap, and being bent by your knees are only going to last for so long. They may last 3 months, they may last 6 months. If you get a year's use out of them before you have to replace them, you're doing quite well. So with that said, when you're looking at cables, remember that. And this is a charging only cable. I didn't think of looking for that when I got it. So it's a charging only cable, and it charges on most things. It'll charge my iPad through this or through my other Anchor. I like Anchor as a product. And then, as I said, Rave Power. I like them. And Anchor is usually where I get my multi-port chargers. And anyway, it'll charge through that. It'll charge my iPad. It'll charge through the iPad dock over here, USB. But it started to charge. What was the problem, which is what I was trying to get at, is this right here. Okay, it basically, for some reason, stopped charging. And it would not charge. I would plug it in, it would flash that it started charging, and then it would just say not charging on the iPad screen. So then I went to see, and you always have to try a known good cable when you're testing. So a known good cable, the tech guy on twit.tv will tell you that. Try a known good cable. So it's always good to have a spare cable around too. So you can always test it with the cable you know is good. So this one, coming from Apple, I'm assuming it does data and it'll do charging at the same time. I'm not positive of that, but I would think from Apple it would do both. But anyway, this will charge through the connector on the Magic Keyboard. Now, I can report that as a bug to Apple, but I think it's just remember that you might have issues with the charging your particular cable. So if you do, don't just try to send it back to Apple, go to the Genius Bar if you can, if it ever reopens, or something like that. First, try a single known good cable. If that still doesn't work, then maybe we have other issues. But that solved the problem for me. So that's why I think also I'm going to get, because I still want a 3-in-1 cable, so I have the connectors, even if it's a single cable with connectors that go on the top, like this. If it's a single cable with connectors you put over here. It's all certified, everything I told you before, and so I think I'm going to pick up those, because those are only, I'm trying to recall, $11, $15, maybe $20 tops, and that's nothing for a cable. The Apple cables are $30 freaking dollars for an Apple cable, sometimes even more, sometimes even like $39. I'm getting also a dongle, a multi-port dongle that does everything under the sun. Has Ethernet, has multiple 3.0 USBs, has USB-C ports, has I don't know if it has lightning ports, but it has pretty much any port you want. It has micro SD card, regular SD card ports on it. So if it arrives, the first one didn't arrive, and so I had to call, or I had to go to Amazon and find the right website link, which is not easy to find, by the way, in order to ask about my package. And they said, their robot said that they would send me another one. And if that was all right, and I said, sure, that's fine. Send me another one, so maybe tomorrow it'll come and I can show off that. That should work and allow you, like this iPad. Another thing I just want to talk real quick. This iPad, I know it's getting long and long and long, but this iPad, you can stick now a freaking, hard drive on it, whether it's an SSD or it's a regular hard drive. You can put mice and keyboard, USB mice and keyboards on it. You can put USB cameras on here with a dongle. You can do so much that you could never do before. That's why I'm saying this and why I'm making this a long video is I've asked over years, 5 years, 7 years, please allow me to use a freaking SD memory card and import into my iPad. I've tried every single 30 freaking, 40 freaking dollar piece of hardware dongle that Apple sells every time they come out with a new one, a new high-powered dongle for USB or USB or SD memory card, trying to use adapters, trying to do any backdoor I could to get it to work. And I ask Apple in bug reports over and over again, please make this iPad so I can use an external SD memory card. Because that seems so hard and complicated. And that's why I keep going over and over again and saying that now you can do all that freaking stuff. Now this is a world of just a joy. Go out and spend the freaking money on it and then just sit back and don't worry and nitpick about it. Just start to use it. And then over time, if you don't think that it is one just amazing, incredible piece of hardware, then I will be surprised. I won't pay for you to get to give you your money back, obviously, and I mean that in a funny joke, but I will be very surprised that you don't think that it's worth that freaking amount of money. And you don't say, like everyone's saying right now, oh, that's so freaking expensive. I like one more time you'll have to hear someone say, oh, it's so freaking expensive. Oh, it doesn't have this. Oh, it doesn't have that. It doesn't do this. Just go and use it. And if you, again, this is the last thing I'm going to say about it, and then I'm going to go in to show you my magic mouse. If you don't think that this is an incredible piece of machinery, well-designed product, I will be very, very shocked. End of story. Now, on to, this is my magic mouse. Yay! This is, I got it, I wanted aluminum. I'm not sure whether I'm keen on the white. You can see if you like the white or not. It's aluminum only around the edges. I wish it was 100% aluminum because I would like that look. But they did, because maybe this is a glass screen, I'm not sure. This is, well, I didn't know that this was connected too. So I'm gonna move this out. This is my magic keyboard. Let me get all these out of the way. I'll set up my magic keyboard, or magic mouse. Here's the magic mouse. Here's the scrolling of the magic mouse. It's seamless, and that's what's so incredible that I want to reiterate and reiterate and reiterate. And because the seamless of no matter what Bluetooth device you plug into this freaking thing, the iOS update makes it work. It may not be as seamless as the Apple products, as I showed you with my Surface mouse, which I like to design, but it will work and will work well. So this I do. Okay, let me show you zooming in and out. And let me show you on here. I forgot to show you zooming in and out. There's not as much space, so maybe I want to go a little bit on a diagonal. If I do this, it's a tiny bit harder to zoom in and out, but very doable. So don't say, oh, now I clicked on something, but don't say it isn't doable. I went out to that screen. Let's go back here. It's very doable. I wouldn't say, that's why I say I wish it was a little bit taller. But as I showed you before, I showed you the exact reason why it was not bigger, if you want to call it bigger, because of the case design. I've already gone over that. I don't need to repeat it again. These keys are pretty close to full-size keys, and it fits it in here. It's a snug fit. You will feel that it's a snug fit at your first glance at it if you get one or you look at one, but it does, the layout does work. It is usable. I would like to also hear from someone that does typing every day, and even on their lap typing, like Mary Jo Foley from All About Windows, from the tech show on twit.tv, Windows Weekly. Now, she would be a good person to try this out on her lap and seeing how this works and if it's really crammed. At first, she would probably say, this is going to be so crammed, and whether she can use it. If she can use it, anybody can use it. And so this, see, zooming in and out, this has much more space to zoom in and out. Got to get to away. See, I can zoom in and out. Usually, I zoom in and out I use my thumb. Now, some of you may zoom in and out by spreading your fingers apart, and that works too. Or once you have your finger down on here, then you can use your thumb. You got to place them down at the same time. Then it'll activate the zooming. And it's buttery smooth zooming, buttery smooth scrolling, 2-finger buttery smooth scrolling on the mouse. So if you really wanted an external mouse and don't mind spending $129 for this, and it's so nice having wireless, the only drawback that I say is maybe the price, but you see that connector. That connector is not USB-C. That connector is the old Lightning connector. This one right here. It's the old Lightning connector. Now that means you got to carry around another freaking cord in your bag. But other than that, it's wonderful. What this is, I'm not sure. Maybe that allows for the radio to escape for the Bluetooth radio. It is Bluetooth. So that's another thing. You gotta connect it to Bluetooth. It isn't hard to connect it through Bluetooth, but it is Bluetooth. This again, is not Bluetooth. It connects through the pogo pins. Okay, the next product I want to show is my Logitech keyboard. Can you believe that this has a freaking battery in it? This is pretty awesome. There are drawbacks, I would have to say. It's very light, very, very thin. Has a full battery that lasts a freaking long time. It uses, though, I think micro USB, which I hate also, port to charge. So you got to carry a third connector. That's why I like this one. That has all 3 connections in one cable. That's what I was trying to find, so I didn't have to carry 3 freaking cables with me and losing one or finding one at the bottom of my bag. So the keys are flat. The keys are kind of rubbery. The keys are kind of cloth-like, mushy cloth-like feel. It's doable. It's great if you want a keyboard that I think it was $79, $89 US. Let me get up because it's hard for me to sit with my knees this way. Okay, I'm back. Yeah, sore knees. I'm a tennis player, but sore knees sitting like that because I haven't done much exercising in the last month. But I think you can attest to that. So anyway, this keyboard, let me press. So you'll see my finger go up to the camera when I press on this. Whoops. Okay, that was the light level. I'm using my, again, Pixel 4 XL. So now it wants to adjust the light again. Well, anyway, you can see the keyboard. And so it's a nice keyboard. I'll show you the side, nice and thin. You can see the connector right there at the top. And all I have to say about that is it's thin and light. You can sit back. If you have an Apple TV, you can use it with an Apple TV. I like the Chromecast. My sister and brother, one of them likes the Apple TV. The other one has a Chromecast Ultra and by Google. And I like the Chromecast better, but that's another discussion that we could have. And anyway, that's that keyboard. And it works with the iPad. It's Bluetooth. Connects right in. I could sit back and I could use it. So I just wanted to show off that. Now I want to show off my last, I think, is this. This is my pencil. This is the pencil for the first generation of the pencil for my second generation iPad Pro. And I'll show you the differences. So let me get out my iPad Pro for a second. Okay, so, I'm going to do it in this mode. So you're going to see it in this mode because it's easier to hold. And I'm going to, so on the side, if I can do that, you have to not lose, I can't lose this little cap. I had to buy a new one. It cost me $10 and I had to make an actual freaking appointment with Apple Genius Bar in order to get one. I guess they need to log it or something on how many people lose their caps. But at least they had one. Okay, now you need to plug this into the port on the iPad. They made an adapter so you could plug it into the wall. But let me see if I can plug this in. Okay, now I'm back and I plugged it in, and you see now it's charging. Now let's go over here, and I think it should show somewhere. It used to show how much charging it was doing. Let me unlock it and be right back and see if it shows the charging. Well, anyway, for some reason I had to repair it. So I don't know what happened there. And also maybe the latest OS update. But now it should show here the charging level. So they must have changed it in the latest OS update. That's the only thing I can think. But what I wanted to really show you is it sticks out. See how it sticks out here? So that can easily, you don't want to bump this because you don't want it to break off the tip. So that you got to keep in mind when you're sitting somewhere or you're resting it. So then you have to take it out like this, and then you have to, I think also this case I have, normally I don't have it in a case. So this case, it's kind of hard, I think, for it to, let me show you. I think it's kind of hard for it to get into the charging slot on the case. So, but all I wanted to show was that's how you charge this pencil. And then what I like about, and then I have to put it down somewhere, as you can see, and then I'm going to misplace it, which I do several times. I misplace where I set down my pencil, and I have to look at it. I even had a conference session I was at, and then I had to go back and get my pencil because I dropped it and forgot it. So luckily they had found it, and a person cleaning up. But this pencil, because it's magnetic, it snaps right on. Now, people complain, and this is another thing to be aware of, and why this video has gone on and on and on, is that they think that you shouldn't just leave it on the charger. That shows the charging. That you shouldn't just leave it up here on the charger. Now, everyone has their own thoughts on battery life for their iPhones, for their iPads, etc., etc. But I find I just use it. I charge it up when I want to. I let it go down to maybe 5 or 10% charge. When the iOS indicator comes on and tells me I'm at 10% charge, then I plug it in, charge it back up. I've had at every device I've had so far, and I've had quite a few, from Pixel phones to iPads and iPhones. 2 years. I've given the iPad to my sister, another 2 years, so at least 4 years. I've had the battery's lasted. That's what I wanted to say. The battery has lasted. So that's pretty much all I wanted to say. So I guess I should wrap it up and say that that's what a good advantage of this new iPad. And you can put it over here. So I'll just say that. Somewhere over here. Somewhere over here or somewhere over here. Over there. I think over here is where it also will connect, but it won't charge. So if your pencil isn't charging, remember to put it back in the center. That's a good thing to know, I think. That's why it's going on and on. So that's good to know. If you put it over here, it's good. It won't, though, hold as well. So remember that. It holds pretty well here. And in your case, in a computer case, it will maybe come off. So remember that. It's not that strong. It's strong, and it's strong if you just carry it around, but it's not that strong if you put it in and out of a case. If it gets brushed enough, it's going to fall off. That's just understandable. So if I do this and I do this, pretty much I can hold it. And if you're in the camp that is going to drain, the battery of the iPad, and it's going to and it's going to hurt the battery of the pencil being charged to 100% all the time, then you can do it this way off to the side. I think, as I was saying with the 4 years, I just, when I need to replace it, I'll replace it. I'm going to use it the way I want to use it, the way that it's easy for me. I'm not going to struggle in remembering, don't do this, don't do that, don't leave it on the charger, keep it off the charger at 80% charge, do this and do that. I'm going to charge it up when I want. I've had good luck in doing that. I haven't had the bad luck that other people claim they've had, to where theirs in a year and a half or 2 years go out and they need a new battery. I don't know why. I don't know that I just have a good aura around me, that in technology that things just last longer. I'm just willing to spend that $79, $99 to have the battery in my device replaced when I need it replaced, if I'm not going to upgrade to the next level of a product. Now, if the product's still working great for me, getting a new battery is just going to make that product work so much better. And it has worked that way with my sister's iPhone 6S Plus. She got a new battery and she added another year to 2 years of life out of it when she didn't want to upgrade, because she doesn't like the technology of having to learn new stuff. So and the money is another thing. She didn't want to spend the money and she didn't want to learn new stuff, so she kept her iPhone 6S Plus and just putting that new battery in it. And she was on the program at the time that she could get the $30 battery replacement that Apple did, and that was a great deal. So I would recommend that. So anyway, my idea, the last thing I'm going to say is that my idea of batteries in general and batteries for the pencil, I'm going to probably just leave it charging, and if it lasts a year, if it lasts 2 years, I'll buy a new pencil. I'm going to do a more formal wrap-up for sleepingdog.video. This has been my review of the new 2020 iPad Pro and Magic Keyboard, among some other tech gadgets. This is John, again from sleepingdog.video. Till next time.